Hello, humans. This is Corey. I wanted to tell you about this beautiful and sacred upcoming retreat we have this year. The problem is, for most of us, it's really difficult for us to have moments and periods of stillness long enough to have meaningful spiritual and emotional experiences. I knew exactly what it felt like growing up to be in emotional suffering and not have the guide that I needed to be able to heal and improve my life. What's so powerful about these retreats is not only are they an access point to stillness and connection with the group, but they are an access point to deeper healing and deeper spiritual experiences like you've never experienced. These have had a huge impact in my life and have helped me go deeper. They have truly changed the landscape of me and my family's life as I've come home with greater light and understanding and love. We want you to join us this year on this beautiful retreat. Send us a message. Go to the emotionalblueprint.com and send us a message on that website, and we will send you more information. You can also go to originswellness.org, and all the information is on that website again. So we look forward to seeing you there. Thanks.
Acting on emotions as guides to truth. Stillness. Surrendering to what is. Seeking. Using my gifts with purpose. Light. This is the Emotional Blueprint.
What benefit comes into somebody's life when they go from single to having their own family? Yeah, like what's kind of the growth that can happen for someone from going from single, I'm alone, to having a family?
In my head, because I'm not married and I don't have kids and stuff, like it's a huge change. In my head, it's like it would change everything in my life to not just having kids, but like being married and having a status difference and I don't know, like a more spiritual connection, something that feels longer lasting. Like there's so many things about marriage that I want that I'm like also nervous about because it seems like a really big change.
I remember when I was single, I was really happy. I was content. I was pretty happy. I was very happy. And it all goes downhill from there. No, I was really happy.
It's the happiest I've ever been in my whole life.
I just remember being so content and happy. And then I go through this transition of getting married and still happy and moments of contentment for sure. It's always challenging going through that adjustment. But I think the greatest growth and benefit that can come from making this transition is you feel a added responsibility. I remember feeling this added responsibility, not right away. You almost have to find it. Where it's like, I remember this feeling. This didn't happen for years for me, to be honest. I wish it would have happened sooner, but it's fine. It went the way it was supposed to. But when I got married and I had a couple kids, it just hit me like, I am not going to let these people down, no matter what. And this pressure, if you're not ready for it, you should feel pressure. I don't know if pressure is the right way to say it, but you should feel this added duty and responsibility. And if you're not ready for it, you crumble. But if you are, it enhances your commitment to live an inspiring life. So, because it's so interesting when we're single, it's really, we have a limited amount of motivation to stay consistent and to stay dialed in and to stay spiritually connected and all those things. Like if that slips a little bit, it's like, oh, it only affects me.
Yeah, the
Like,
repercussions don't really matter as much
yeah,
when there's not other people.
it definitely still matters, but you're right. It doesn't, like when people are relying on you
Mm-hmm.
and you know, and that is a huge benefit if you are ready.
Yeah.
But that has held deep meaning for me of just like, I'm not going to let my girls down. And now I have a son. I'm not going to let them down no matter what. And so that's a huge gift for me. It just keeps you way more dialed in.
Yeah. Steadier, probably.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really afford to veer off for too long, right? I don't imagine
Yeah.
you could do that for very long when you got kids and a
No.
wife. And you said it's something that you have to find. How do you find it? What does finding it look like?
Yeah, I had a question about that too, Corey.
Cool.
Or like, what do you mean by finding it? I guess that's a 2-part question.
I think finding it means having eyes to see the importance of your role in that unit, in that community.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, like I see my daughter struggle and I can actually have a pretty immediate impact on helping her feel better about herself. Or my wife is struggling, or my friend is struggling. And I can actually like make a pretty big difference if I am a rock. I think it takes some time to find it. I don't think you can find it right away because you can't see. You almost need to see and be aware of what's it like and what's the vibe like when I am connected and supportive versus, you know, kind of checked out or you know,
Yeah.
passive.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're really looking at it as a father, especially, the significance, the impact is it's significant
Noticeably different.
for sure.
So you kind of have to be aware or like
Mhm.
present to notice things and then have that help you find that.
Yep.
Okay.
Totally. I remember feeling this. Now you don't have to have this. You don't have to have a family to experience this kind of growth and responsibility. You can experience this in any community or even at your job. But it has to be a job or work that if you're not feeling as good spiritually or emotionally, it impacts other people around you.
Yeah.
When we're not feeling that great emotionally or spiritually, guess what? It always impacts people around us. It's just harder to see it.
Right.
And so I've been a therapist for a little bit. And before I got married, I was a therapist. And I remember feeling this responsibility like, hey, like if I just am like morally not living my life the way that I know I should, then it's going to have a deep impact on people are still paying money to come and see me. And I'm just not going to be able to show up the same way. Or if I'm so anxious out of my mind and, you know, obviously that's going to really impact my job and like, you know, whatever. So people that are seeking emotional and spiritual connections in their relationships, it kind of automatically brings in this responsibility to it. And that's good if you're ready.
Okay. I like that. The condition.
Yeah.
If you're ready, responsibilities are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally get that.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, likening it to whatever I can in my own life because I'm not there yet. And I'm just thinking like the only time that I've really felt what I think you're talking about is like serving an LDS mission and having like a person that's your companion, that's your responsibility. In some cases you're like their trainer or something, and you're like over them, and their safety and their knowledge over the area is fresh and they don't know anything, and that. But then also you have a responsibility in teaching people about the, Christianity and the gospel. And there's a lot of responsibility with coming to every lesson prepared and spiritually prepared as well. And I don't know, that's the only pressure that I can think of for myself off the top of my head, at least.
I think this is like it's really cool what you're saying, man, because this is a deception that happens in people's minds a lot, which is the deception is, I don't want to take this next step because I don't want to let people down.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some validity to that. And so it's probably going to be helpful for us to talk about like what you can do to be more ready to take on more emotional or spiritual responsibility, or, community and things like that. But there's a lot of people that definitely are ready, I've noticed, to put themselves out there more and find more relationships and find more friendships and whatever, and to connect deeper with people. And friendships is a great place to start because there's not as much responsibility in friendships. It's like, hey, I'll give what I can when I can, is the universal truth about friendships.
Yeah.
They're pretty non-committal to some degree, to a large degree actually.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. Like if that's a great step for you, if you are, if you feel like you have something to give, but you're a little afraid to do that, friendships is really the entry.
Lower commitment. Yeah.
And some people are afraid of, that's a deception I've seen happen for some people. It's like, well, I don't want to let people down, or I don't want to. So friendships, that's perfect.
Start small.
Yeah, friendships is great. But I think you would actually have a lot of good insight on this, of like when we're talking about going from, maybe the example of going from single to married, or single to dating somebody seriously. That's a little bit more of a next level commitment. How does someone know if they are ready?
I'm going off of what I think about it, and I think that my source of knowing things comes from prayer, and preparation. Those two things combined help me to know whether or not I'm ready, and sometimes the answer doesn't come when you want it to, or in the full answer. So what I'm doing right now is focusing on the preparedness part of it, where I'm trying to get my finances in order. I'm trying to build a routine. I'm trying to have a strong foundation so that when I do have kids, it won't be a me show all the time, that I'll have myself taken care of, and I'll be able to be present for my kids and things and see what's going on and be there for those responsibilities and everything. So I think that like getting myself and my own house in order before I build a new house is probably the best thing to do to get prepared. The other thing is just like somewhere inside of me is still that like scared kid who's waiting for the nod from their parents. Like, that like, you're good, you can do that. Like, and somewhere I'm still like looking back, like kind of checking, like, am I okay to take this step? And I think that that comes from God at this point for me.
So you getting that nod from your spiritual parents.
Yeah. And I'm waiting for that to come. Right now, I'm supposed to prepare myself, and that's what I'm doing. So
cool.
I think it's a combination of ask the right people and prepare yourself.
I think this is a good question for people who are dating or wanting to date. Like, how do I know if I'm ready to date? How do I know if I'm ready for more commitment or more responsibility? These all tie in together, I think. And I love what you said, the importance of making sure my own house is in order before I try to build another house.
Yeah.
So again, you're a great example of this. Right now, generally speaking, you are ready for more commitment and responsibility.
Generally speaking.
Generally speaking.
Yeah.
2 years ago, though, for you at least, you weren't. And so talk about a little bit of some of the changes that were really instrumental for you to generally be ready for more responsibility and more commitment.
Biggest one over the past 2 years is, where do I stand morally? I had to make a decision on what kinds of people I spend time with, what kind of a person I'm going to be, output wise, like what I'm going to put out into the world. I had to make decisions on what I believe with God, and kind of just like understanding spirituality and how I'm myself, like how I work and how all that works together in the world and how it affects other people. And I just did a lot of like soul searching. I felt that building a foundation is supposed to be what I'm supposed to be doing, in order to be prepared. And so what is a foundation? So I was like asking myself, like, okay, what's a foundation entail? And that's like my morals and my goals in life, what I want to be, who I want to be around, the type of life I envision for myself. I don't know, just the general stuff. You start small. And I think I've been really working on like living according to what I'm trying to believe about myself.
That's awesome, man. I think let's dive into this specific question more. This question feels important. Of how do I know if I'm ready to start dating? How do I know if I'm ready to have a successful relationship? I love what you were saying. It's all about making sure your foundation is solid. Okay, what does that mean? What does the foundation entail? Well, you need to make sure that your emotional foundation and your emotional resiliency is good. That's one thing that we should talk more about. The second part of the foundation, specifically when it comes to dating, is you need to know what you want and what's important for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many people go into dating and they have no idea what they want, and they just leave a blood trail of pain? And it just happens so much. It's why dating is such a nightmare for so many people, because 82% of people that are dating have no idea what they think. They know what they want.
Mm-hmm.
I want a girl with nice legs, or, whatever.
Something makes me laugh or something,
which that one's way more legit.
Yeah, that one's good. Yeah, you're right.
So emotional resiliency.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know what you want, and then you have to be the right person. And so we should talk about those three things. So let's talk about emotional resiliency. You don't have to be perfect at these things. It's not like, there's these but you definitely have to be strongly on the path, or feeling like it's only going to get better from here type of thing.
Totally.
So what kind of emotional foundation does somebody need to be ready to date?
I don't know the textbook answer
to be
for
ready
this.
to date successfully or in a healthy way.
Yeah. I think I've done an okay job at this. And so what I did.
I know you have.
So what I did is, first I cleared out the mud from my pool, right? There's the pool with the ventilation for filtering the water and all the crap that gets in your pool. Mine had a bunch of mud caked on it, and that's what I use as an analogy for my trauma in my life. So I did a little bit of digging so that I could filter correctly. And then I did daily practices to be present, to find out when my emotions reach heights that I don't want and when they reach lows that I don't want, how to balance those things on a daily basis so I can be, like you said, on an even keel. So I can just start on an even playing field in the dating game. You can't be at a loss before you get started. Otherwise, you won't be able to receive or give as much as you could. And that's a problem,
100%. Kind of a clear question you can ask yourself if you know you're emotionally ready to date in a healthy way is, how much emotional balance do I have being single and living my own life?
Yeah.
Like, am I getting hit with these emotional storms and then it's taken me days to recover, or I'm suffering in this for hours? If that's the case, that's okay. But you need to take time to follow the emotional blueprint, which is, I'm aware of what I'm feeling. I recognize it. A negative emotion is my body telling me that I need something. And I take time to listen and to act on what it's telling me. If I'm feeling a lot of frustration and irritation in my life, that's from the emotional blueprint and the emotional guide, that's my body telling me that I need to have better balance. And specifically, I might be resisting things. I might be putting too much energy in certain areas. So just starting to look at that, you're doing yourself a huge disservice if you're single and you're not taking time at least once a week to ask yourself, what can I work on to be a better person? What are my emotions telling me? What is God telling me? If you're not taking time to listen to that and have some practical application come from that and then acting on that, you're not ready. We've talked about past podcasts that we break a lot of that down specifically. We'll be talking more about that specifically in future podcasts, I'm sure, but that's super important. Why is that so important to have this emotional foundation and resiliency before I start dating somebody?
I mean, these aren't, I don't know if these are the most important things, but they're like, if you were to like have a really poor experience in a dating, or like in a relationship, and it caused certain ways of thinking or maybe like soft spots on you, if those carry on to the next relationship, that other person could push on your little triggers without even knowing it. And it could cause issues in your relationship that they didn't deserve to have. And you had total responsibility over. And I'm just speaking from experience. That's something that I think can really get in the way sometimes in relationships, is and why you need to do that balancing before you jump into another relationship, so that you can be prepared and kind of like start like with a clean slate with the person that you're going to go date. As best as you can. I think being aware of those things at least is better than nothing.
Oh my gosh, it's so vital.
Mm-hmm.
Me and you were talking a few podcasts ago about how what's happening for men and women is that the general state of men and women is men and women are becoming more masculine.
Yeah, the energy.
In their energy or in who they are. They're becoming more masculine. And that's not a good thing. Because the feminine, the other side of the yin and the yang, the feminine is responsible for cultivating this emotional awareness, this emotional work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also the avenue in which we find guidance through spirituality and feel closer to God and to find out, and just feel connected in those ways. And establishing those connection and kind of a rhythm with that is it's so vital. Yeah. What would happen in the dating world if more people were more focused on their individual emotional work, genuinely wanting to work on themselves emotionally, and are also trying to spiritually stay connected? And are you kidding me? This dating would be like, oh my gosh. But the over masculinity of men and women now that's promoting vanity. It's promoting a lot of people are doing a lot of things. They're working, they're making money, they're doing things all the time. That's the masculine, is the doing. Mm-hmm. But they're missing the mark. So that's why it's so important. You highlighted it specifically, but that's why it's so important to have this emotional and kind of spiritual foundation rhythm. Riding the rhythm of that, life starts to support you. Mm-hmm. And when life starts to support you, you actually feel this like happiness and this fulfillment. And everyone knows that if you want to find the right person, you kind of need to have some of this happiness and contentment in Buddhism for it to come to you, for it to find you, this mutual finding.
Mm-hmm. And I had like two thoughts that came up, and one of them was just like how much easier relationships just in general would be if people were like trying to better themselves first, or trying to be content
Oh my
first
gosh.
before asking someone else to make them happy.
Before asking someone else to marry them.
Right. Like that would be a good idea. But just thinking about that is crazy. That
This is a huge form of suffering. It's such a massive form of suffering that's happening in the world.
Mhm.
So sad.
I forget what the second thing that I was thinking about was, but I was just imagining, like if you do those things for yourself, it's so much with anything. If you're doing something, it's so much easier to demand that of someone else. Like, I'm already doing this. I can expect this now from my partner. And the confidence that can come from that, if you were like doing that on your own and you're already content, you're already doing all your things that you need to do, and then you start looking for a partner, you can be so much more confident in holding them to those things. And the inverse of that, if you don't have those things working for you already, you can't ask those things to your partner ahead of time. And you might get in a relationship you don't want to be in because of that.
100%.
Just thinking about that.
Not only can you not ask those things, you're not even seeing those things.
Yeah, you're not even aware.
You don't even know what to ask.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Major disadvantage if you're thinking about dating.
So the gift of having a consistent emotional focus, of taking responsibility for how you feel and trying to work through that, and also having a spiritual connection consistently. This is the main message of this entire podcast, and it always will be. But if you are doing that, the gift of that in dating and in relationships is it gives you vision.
Mm-hmm.
You now can see, instead of just intellectually knowing what you want, you can actually see what you want in other people. You can see if it's there or if it's not there. People ask the question all the time, like, how do I know if this person is the right person for me? Or how do I know what to look for in dating? The answer from what you're saying and from what is very clear. And it's what Gandhi said. I think be the person that you want to be, the change you want to see in the world. Be that person.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to see that. What's the percentage of people that are like that on the market right now, in the dating market?
0.5 less. I don't.
It's probably a little higher than, but you're talking about 0.5%.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's going to be a little higher than that.
It's got to be, yeah.
It gradually is getting lower, in my opinion,
Mhm.
based on this the masculine growth of men and
Mhm.
women. The over masculinization of society is having that go down. But if I were to guess from what I've seen in therapy and in my experience, I would say probably like 10%.
It's still pretty small.
Yeah. So just think about that. You have to go on average 10 dates. Okay, I'm ready to get back in the market.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go on average 10 dates to find one that is going to be, that is like you. And just because somebody is working on themselves emotionally and is trying to connect spiritually, and that's important to them, it doesn't automatically mean that they are going to be a good match for you either. So it's going to be good to talk about that. So, other thoughts though on this whole like emotional resilience and the spiritual focus.
Everybody watches the same streaming sites and listens to the same top 50, songs that are getting put out on the radio and stuff. But it's like, those things are really cool to match up with other people and know that you have things that you are alike and that you share hobbies and interests. But I would say like the spiritual side of things is going to answer more questions than any of those other ones at a first date, is like looking for what kind of a person you're talking to, what they believe in. I just think that's probably way more important to be looking into those things than the things that you match up with on paper.
Totally. We have to talk about this, what you just said.
Yeah.
Like it really, when you were saying, what it really brought up for me is like, it doesn't really matter to find someone that is interested in spirituality. Does it really matter for me to be spiritually connected or interested in spirituality? Let's talk about why that is perhaps critical
Mm-hmm.
if you want an awesome, healthy relationship.
I think that's the only way to have like substance, like real lasting substance, because you can binge watch anything over a weekend or whatever, and it's like you're together and you're like, I don't know, like you're spending time together and you're watching something new, but like it doesn't really like doesn't fulfill anything in you. And so if you're not with someone who like thinks about those things or can have conversations or wants to go and like sit in nature or something, you know, like things that bring up feelings or have experiences that are more meaningful than media and things. I just if you have someone like that, I think that it makes lasting memories and lasting feelings instead of things that are really short-lived that like we use a lot nowadays.
Yeah, so you're saying having a partner that is interested in spirituality or connected that way, and you also are like that, it brings a certain depth
Mm-hmm.
to the connection that you can't find otherwise.
Absolutely not.
Okay, cool. We don't want to put this in too much of a box, but let's get rid of this abstract spirituality thing for a second and just talk a little bit specifically about what that actually is.
Yeah, good idea.
So just a couple thoughts on, okay, what is spirituality? What does that even entail in someone or in yourself? It is a strong desire to seek guidance and wisdom from something greater than yourself. It is a recognition that I am a student of life and that I don't have all the answers. There's more to it than that, but let's talk about those two things for a second. The first thing I mentioned is a interest and a sincere desire to connect with something greater than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that so important to have in yourself and to look for in someone else in a relationship? I want to get your thought on this, but the one thought that I have is, do you know how many relationships are codependent nowadays? It's a lot. It's most of them. What does that mean? It means someone else is reliant. So if you have a codependent partner or in one, your partner is reliant on you for the balance and happiness in their life.
Mm-hmm.
The importance of finding somebody that is interested in connecting to something greater than themselves, it helps them not be as codependent. It helps them to rely on God,
Mm-hmm.
to seek answers through nature. So having that, you having that, and someone else being interested in that, it's a great insurance policy for unhealthy codependency that is so common.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating that very principle is actually what draws a couple closer together, right? Like you would think that the codependency is like, it's not necessarily that people are trying to be close together by relying too much on each other, but you would think it would be the opposite. But having that higher, it's like that dedication to a higher purpose of seeking after like the greatest truths that the world has to offer or that our souls like yearn for.
Yeah, from God or from the source. Yeah.
Is in actuality what draws two people closer together than any other form.
Yeah, there's a depth to it, like Ernest was saying. But think about the codependency connection with that. It's like, I'm really struggling. I need an answer on like what to do in my life or like how to heal or how to figure this out. And I need you, spouse, or you, boyfriend,
Yeah.
to tell me what that. It's like, I'm going to disappoint you. I can't.
All the time.
I can't all the time.
Yeah.
Nobody can give you those. Nobody can give you nobody can give you those answers.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be bold enough to say is if spirituality is not a part of your relationship, that codependency is to some degree is guaranteed.
And maybe contention is guaranteed.
And we're trying to put spirituality into an open enough playing field where we're not necessarily talking about religion, but we are talking about the importance of connecting to something greater. And this humility, this importance of being a student and to, find answers and connect. Yeah. Okay, your turn a little bit, man. I want to ask you. So this other kind of part of spirituality that I kind of mentioned is someone developing or someone seeing themselves as a student of life, and that I have much to learn. And this is a core element. This is probably the most core element of what it means to be a spiritual human being, is this recognition of I am a student and I do need to learn from others and from God and from nature. And that's what it means to be a spiritual person. So why is that so critical to try to embody?
The humility aspect?
Sure, we can call that all. Basically, that's in one word. That's called humility. Why is that humility, that element of spirituality? Why is that so critical to have in yourself and look for in someone else?
I think there's multiple reasons, but I mean, how far do you want your arguments to go when they come up? Like, how bad do you want things to get? Do you want someone who's willing to stop and listen to your side, and vice versa? Do you want to be the person that can do that and them notice you do that for them? Like you kind of need humility in every relationship, or else you'll have a lot more issues than you want. I think.
Totally. And these two elements of spirituality are very connected: the humility aspect and the seeking desire, the seeking to connect with something greater than yourself. Because if you're not seeking to connect with something greater than yourself, then you can easily get caught up in your own successes with figuring things out and believing that it's you and you've figured it out, basically. And how well does it work if you're in a relationship and your partner thinks they have it all figured out, or you feel like you have it figured out?
Resentment
later.
Yeah. Bad news.
They call this the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in relationships. This attitude spells the end of days of your relationship.
It's kind of dark.
It is dark. It's true, though. Okay. So in actuality, why is it so important to have humility in a relationship? Why is it so important to be a student in a relationship before you get into a relationship to develop that? Because the greatest predictor of divorce, by a long shot, is if you and your partner have humility or are interested in developing that. Period. If you or your partner are interested in developing that, relationships work out. If you or your partner don't have that, they don't. It really is that simple. That is the greatest. There's a lot of research to back this up too, instead of me just saying it for those that don't know. One of the leaders in this research, his name is John Gottman. He would observe a couple for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he would predict with a 95% accuracy rate if the relationship worked out or not. And he talks about a lot of stuff in his books, but the main thing that it boils down to is, how willing is my partner and me, how willing are we to take responsibility for our own issues and weaknesses?
Yeah.
In other words, humility. I'm a student. I don't have things all figured out. And I am reliant, I am dependent on God. I'm dependent on something greater than me to learn. Because I don't know And and that also cultivates a willingness to learn from our partner.
Exactly.
When they're giving us feedback, anyone that's been in any relationship, it's so important. Obviously, listen to that feedback, and we want our partner to listen to our feedback we have for them too. So if we want that to happen, we gotta be the goal is to be the first one to do that. So spirituality is critical.
Yeah.
To successful relationships.
It makes so much sense that spirituality dictates, like if you're a spiritual person, you have to have the characteristic of some sort of willingness or humility or submissiveness towards that higher power or that spirituality that you're trying to learn more about or tap into, and how like that's mirrored so well in relationships.
Yes.
Like perfectly mirrored in relationships is kind of cool. Because I mean, the chain of thought there is like, if let's say your wife is talking and you're in a discussion or an argument or whatever you want to call it, but if you don't have the humility, there won't be that chain of thought that says truth comes from all sources and it might come from her mouth as she's speaking to me now.
Cool.
But if you don't have that there, it could just be a contentious, like logical argument that just builds and builds until you have to leave the room or whatever. And it's just like it's a really powerful tool in relationships to think and feel that way about your partner.
100%. Like, oh, they might actually be speaking for God.
Right.
And so it's important for me to listen.
If I need to hear what he's going to say, I need to hear what she's going to say.
That's powerful. Another characteristic we could add to what does it mean to be spiritual and what does it mean to look for somebody that's spiritually inclined is openness. Openness, humility, someone that's student mindset. I think that's a great way to describe humility. Student mindset. And this is what I was going to share. Is this humility really does come from God or from something greater than us, because we need to, part of the relationship with God is a recognition of our own limitations. Through our relationship with something greater than ourselves, we see this in nature too. You know, Dane's a surfer. You know, I was in Hawaii a while ago observing observing these giant waves. And I'm like, holy cow, the power of these waves. And then I have this experience where I jump in and I almost drowned.
And it took you out.
And it's like, whoa, just a reminder of my own insignificance. It's not a shame thing. It's a truth thing. Like, wow, I am small in this world. There's a lot for me to learn. I am small when it comes to this mighty source of wisdom and power and truth and light. And like, I'm not the expert. I'm not the, so the whole purpose of spirituality is to help you to cultivate that so that you can have better relationships.
100%. Yeah.
It's all meant to work together. Well, thanks for bringing some of that together, man. That was cool. It's a cool thing to talk about. Okay. So maybe going back to the question of, how else do I know? Like, how do I know if I'm ready to date? We're talking about an emotional and spiritual foundation. What were the other things? Knowing what you want.
Knowing what you want. Yeah.
What was the other thing we mentioned? So
it was emotional balance. Knowing what you want.
I just love the way you said it and what we've been talking about. If you're practicing some of these emotional and spiritual development, if you're focused on that as an individual, that gives you vision. You basically kind of intuitively know what you should be looking for. So the first thing is making sure you find someone that's spiritually aligned with where you're at and what you want. That's important. This is less important. It seems to be more important for guys than it is for women, but finding somebody that you're attracted to, that gets a lot of, I think sometimes obviously too much focus, but then sometimes I see people not put enough focus on that. It's definitely the least important out of all of what we're talking about, but it still is important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I want to ask you is, how can somebody tell if they're taking that a little bit too far? The whole physical attraction.
How do they tell?
Like, how can I tell if I'm putting too much emphasis on physical attraction?
We talking first date scenario kind of a thing?
I think we're talking any scenario.
Dang.
But
That's
we're
a tough
we're on
one.
the topic of dating, so
I don't
sure.
know. That's a I don't know, like the content of your conversations might be different. It might be more surface level.
So I've seen this a lot with guys that I've worked with in therapy, and it's less, like I said, it's less common with women. Although women are becoming more masculine, so they're caring more about physical attraction in men. So how can I tell if I'm putting too much emphasis on physical attraction? If that's maybe too high, if that's like maybe my number one, like when it probably should be 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, whatever that is. One of the ways we can tell if we're putting too much emphasis on physical attraction is if we have very specific requirements.
Oh, like a checklist of
Yeah,
what
like
they have to
I
look
need
like.
someone that's like really tan with blue eyes and long brown hair. It's like, okay, obviously those are preferences you have, but to have that be a rule is probably not the best. I'll say this: it's like when you just objectively, it is important when you first meet someone, or like you should have some attraction. There should be some physical attraction there. Now, what about this myth, or it's not a myth, there's some truth to it, of, well, they'll become more attractive the more I get to know them.
Like physically?
Yeah. That's only true if you're initially physically attracted to them.
Yeah, it has to start from somewhere, right?
Okay, so and I might be too bold on that, and it does whatever. But that's what I've noticed. So make sure there's some initial attraction, but if that's the only thing that you're interested in, the other way you can tell if it's too much of emphasis is that's like the only thing you care about. If that's the only thing that you care about, then what does that mean about you? It means that you are shallow.
Sorry.
It means that you actually don't have a legit emotional and spiritual connection yourself. You need to stop dating. I'm going to encourage you to stop dating, please.
Yeah.
So you don't muddy the water of that's already so dirty, and start to date you. I hate that cliche saying date yourself, but yeah, do that. Like start to like do what we've talked about. And then you can have physical attraction be mixed in with these other way more important things. You don't want to marry someone that is just interested in physical attraction. You don't want to find someone like that. Why? Okay, the sex may be great. That sounds really awesome. Men have fantasies about that. That's and some women do as well. Awesome. What percentage of that is that of your relationship? Okay, let's say you have sex every day.
Still.
That's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe. I don't know. Of your day.
That's
what?
nothing.
Oh my gosh. Like, okay, can you imagine like going on a trip with this person and having a full week with them?
A road trip.
You can't have sex by the way, research shows the sexual gratification fades, or the hit of I wouldn't say the gratification fades.
That's like a 2-hour window.
No, the pleasure though is consistent, but the amount of fulfillment, I guess we should say, that you get from that fades after 6 months or a year after being in a committed relationship. That's the truth. When that fades, what kind of substance is there?
Yeah.
And this is the sad part. People that are overly interested in vanity or sex or physical attraction, the masculinity side of it, that's why they burn through relationships in 6 months. The hit of the sexual gratification fades. You're not even a human being. It's animalistic at that point. And so, dude, you leave a lot of emotional bloodshed in your trail, and it's not the way to go. I promise.
It's kind of sad.
And that is what That's what's happening a lot. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Well, any other thoughts on dating? I think it was cool to talk about that.
I think so too. I think majority of people deep down know that like they have to be a prize to be treated like a prize, or you have to work on yourself a little bit before you expect to win a fantastic person in your life. I think that it's healthy to think of it like that. Like you have to earn the person you want to be with forever, and that takes work. Just like if you wanted to be able to lift something heavy, you got to go and lift weights to build up to that weight. Like if you want a really top tier person in your life forever, you might have to have the qualities to attract the top tier person in your life. And I think everybody knows that deep down. It was just really cool to go over it in detail and like as a refresher that like there's more than just what kind of car you drive and what kind of clothes you buy. It's going to be a lot deeper than that, and it's going to matter when you really care about it.
100%, man. 100%. I think the thing that I want to say that came up too as you were talking is that I know people like this, and I see this. I don't actually see it as much in therapy, but there's a lot of people that actually, they know that doing the emotional work and spiritual focus is important. And they think they're doing it and they're not. They actually deep down believe that they are doing significant emotional and work and spiritually feeling and spiritually connect, and they're just not. And so it's this great deception. I think social media doesn't help. I'm doing all this emotional work. I follow these quotes and I repost them, and it's like, be the person you want to see. And I know a couple people like this intimately that do this, and I want to I've had to stop. These are like old friends of mine, and dude, there's nothing. It's sad. It's cringe, and it's sad. How can I tell if I'm really doing the work? Am I taking time to really be still and stillness and seeking, feeling? It's the experience. Are you having that's intellectualizing emotional work, and that's intellectualizing spiritual connection.
Yeah.
That's not actually real. If you're having the experiences of it. Okay. So what does that look like? Well, it actually means facing difficult emotions and trying to find the practical application. It's what we were talking about earlier. This is what I'm feeling, and this is what it means, and this is what I'm going to do. You'll just have these hits that that you're changing, and you will feel this fulfillment from it. There's just a lot of deception out there with, I see this too with psychedelics. And I'm totally open to all that stuff, by the way. But I do see this with psychedelics where people have this experience. So it's not just about the experience. It's about following it up with the application and the integration of it. And that is just not as common.
So you're saying they're having these experiences and saying I'm changed, but there's no follow-up to incorporate that change into their life.
Yeah. What does it mean to change? It means I'm having an experience that's meaningful. And then from that comes application, things that I actually need to do consistently to change how I feel and to change my behavior. I believe for people like just on the psychedelic topic or the spirituality and receiving revelation and from God and those topics, people, revelation is hollow unless it's backed up with practical application. If you're legit yourself, listener, and you're having spiritual experiences and you are then following that up with application, detect these like frauds. And you can do that again. you're living that way in your own life, that's the greatest gift of vision, to see the frauds out there that are that are hypocrites. There's nothing that people despise more, and God, and when Jesus was living, there's nothing that he was more outspoken about than hypocrites. I wouldn't be as strong to say the word hate, but they're just not down with hypocrites, and we shouldn't be either.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's the final message.
Yeah.
So I just have I guess I just have a strong feeling about that myself, because I've had experiences. I'll share one experience. I hired an employee a while ago who she was great. And I remember being so excited about hiring her. And as time went on, I started to notice these, like, she would like scream at me. We'd go out and have like we do like our supervision, or sometimes we'd go grab lunch and just kind of catch up before. And there'd be this moment she would like yell at me in front of like people at restaurants, like, and just so manipulative. And I saw all things, but like anyone's experienced, and I was in a really healthy place in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a glaring weakness for me in this experience that I'll share. But I was in a really healthy place in my life, and it's so hard to see it fully when you're in it. Kind of like this saying, like, you can't see it when you're in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna apply to people that are in difficult relationships. The best way to discern, side note, the best way to discern if you're in a healthy relationship is if I approach this person with honesty and with kindness and give them feedback, how do they respond?
Mm-hmm.
That is the best way to detect a hypocrite and unhealthiness and a toxic relationship. Now, some people might get defensive or whatever initially, but if they're healthy, and they'll come back and they'll be genuine, and you know, sometimes I get defensive. That's fine. And so it got crazy, man. And why didn't I just fire her? Well, because regretfully at the time I had this attachment to money, and I was making good money off her. I'm like, I think I can just keep her in the corner and keep her kind of separate, and, you know, make this money off her, and it'll be fine. There's this image of a Venus flytrap. And if you put a red pepper in a Venus flytrap and you set up a time lapse, the acid of this bell pepper will gradually turn this Venus flytrap black, and it'll begin to disintegrate.
Oh, geez.
And I love the imagery of that. The toxicity of a relationship fills your soul with darkness. Mm. And you begin to disintegrate over time. Everyone knows this intellectually, but that visual has always been powerful to me. Someone shared it with me today, actually. And it's really struck a chord. And that's what was happening. My darkness was beginning to creep in. And I thought I could just, I'll just keep it over there. Anyways, make the long story short. I basically had, hey, if I'm your boss, and if you yell at me like this one more time, this is it. Like, you're done. I'm going to give you one more chance. And then it happened. And then I'm glad I stuck to it. But the contrast of afterwards, of just the peace that I felt, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in the shower and I'm at peace. I'm not like feeling anxious and ruminating and feeling anxious about what could happen. And anyone that's been in that situation, it's like, it's total suffering. I promise. I've experienced a very light version of this. It is not worth it. And listen to your friends.
Yeah.
They're seeing it. You can't see it when you're in it. They're seeing it differently than you. Try to have this humility. anyways, why do people not leave those relationships? Well, the same reason why I didn't, because I had an attachment. I'm attached. It wasn't to them, it was to what they had to offer, I think. Anyways, so
Totally.
I'm very grateful for that experience because it helped me to realize the attachment that I had. And it's been a beautiful awakening for me this last couple of years to be able to let go of that attachment. And I believe I have. And it's been so nice. Any attachment to money, to sex, to anything, any attachment, we've talked about this, it pulls us. So it always, the cost of that is it always affects our relationships.
Are you comparing that in any way to like the attachment to being attracted, like in a relationship, like, or having that be the emphasis in your relationship?
Yeah, the attachment to lust or to vanity is a real thing. And so that can definitely cross over for sure, Dane. Yeah. Like some people have an attachment to dating or to marrying a 10. And
Just for the status, like socially, being with someone who's looked at as popular or
Guess
beautiful or whatever.
That's like attachment to status almost more than even
yeah,
the
yeah,
actual,
that side of it is. Yeah. It can be for other reasons, like just for them and how it makes them feel when someone that's a 10 wants them. There's something unhealthy there, Yeah. So
So is something.
it's an attachment, whatever. We can call that whatever. But anyways, again, we shouldn't need that. There's nothing wrong with wanting that. But who doesn't want a 10 partner physically or whatever? But you just balance that out with the important things that we've been talking about,
Totally.
So,
not to stay on this topic for too long, but I just feel like there's a certain type of attraction that transcends the physical when you find someone, I think, that fits the criteria of what we've been talking about for like healthy relationships. And I think about like the relationships that I had, just the people that I felt like I was really, really deeply attracted to. And it was always like, there was kind of like a spiritual element to it. And not from like a religious standpoint, but there was like an intangible side to the attraction that made me want to be like a better person.
Well, that's so cool because, just on the topic of sex, if you want the sex to be way better in your relationship, it's less about a skill. It's more about having somebody that you're deeply connected to. Then the bond of sex is like, holy cow, it really is on fire. It comes alive. It's, it's great. So it's that, I love that just reminded me of that. What enhances sexual gratification is not finding a partner that's necessarily more attractive or better at sex.
Yeah.
It's finding somebody that is spiritually and emotionally like dialed.
Yeah. You can connect better with.
If you have benefited from this podcast in any way, it would mean the world to us to have you subscribe, to allow us to keep it going and bring on inspirational human beings.